And now, your Pickle Gals.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Pickle Gals podcast. My name is Krishan Spackman.
And I'm Rachel Roney.
And we are the Pickle Gals. So happy to be back. We have a fantastic topic again today. But like we do every time, let's do a little bit of catch up on the lives of Rachel and Krishan the last few weeks. What's going on over there?
I know one day I'm going to be like, oh, not much going on, but
I doubt
that is not the case. So I think I mentioned last time I was heading up to our new facility, Village Pickle in Leesburg. So I was able to go up and actually see the facility in person, do a clinic, and actually ran our first tournament. We had a fundraising event, and so I actually was behind the scenes running the tournament, which was a great learning experience for me. And then outside of that, have switched a new partnership for the paddle that I'm playing with, and supporting a new brand called Rich Cat Supply. And so brought some of their paddles today. They have fantastic creative paddles, but more than that, the owner of Rich Cat Supply and her family are absolutely fantastic people, and the vision that they have for this is really what PickleBall is all about, which is creating community and having rich experiences, Rich Cat, by doing so. And so it's been a lot of fun to join them, and they also have a give back program for providing paddles to youth. So for every 20 you buy, they donate those paddles back to youth programs. So that is something that community engagement part of me is aligned with, and so it's going to be fun to be part of that team.
Yeah, I know you've been working on that for a little while with those guys. I know that family as well, and they are a great family and super cool designs. Congratulations. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. And it is. It's right up your alley with your community outreach and engagement. So.
Absolutely. How about you? I know you just got back from another big NPL event.
Yeah, they seem to time these right when I'm like
perfect,
the day after landing or what have you. So so two big things really. One is quite monumental. My daughter did actually graduate high school.
It happened.
So it happened. So she graduated. Lots of family came in town. Got very, very lucky. So thanks to everybody that helped. Our family, get enough tickets for everyone that came to town to go to her graduation and witness it in person. So that's super fantastic and has meant a lot to all of us. The second thing, as you said, was I just got back from Columbus, our second NPL weekend, just finished up. Another amazing experience. I can't even begin to put into words. It's so much more than pickleball. It's learning even just about yourself and who you are as a person. It really is impactful. I won't dive into that. I think we could do a whole series of things about that. Yeah. But we did go 3-1 again. And once again, we're like 1 or 2 points away from like losing 10-11, going 4-0 and being in the money. So, but we're currently 6-2, I believe. That's great. And that has us in the third place, somewhere in the third place rating or ranking amongst the 12 teams. Awesome. So that's super cool. And this past weekend, Sunday night, we closed it down on a super big high. We have what's called a team breaker when we tie at the end with a team. It's one game. It's crazy fun. And everybody gets to play. You rotate every 2 points, and it's just on the fly. So we had a fantastic time. I think we're going to give you a snippet of when I had my chance out there on the team breaker. So
1-3-1.
Krishan Spackman. Nice drop.
There you go. You saw his hand-eye coordination right there. Pete Aldrich, so quick with his hands.
Overall, just an overwhelming and fantastic experience. So happy to hear about your league and your Rich Cat. Happy to have an opportunity to share a little bit about the NPL. Congratulations to my daughter once again. And with that, court is now in session.
Yeah, let's dive into the world of tournaments today. It's a big topic, as the Wild West quote continues. So are tournaments. There are tons of them. Some say it's getting quite saturated, but there's a lot of variation in the types of tournaments that are out there. And so, from the player preparation piece of this and how your day looks as a player to the back side of that for the tournament directors and those organizing play, We all impact that experience and can affect the flow or the quality of that experience. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, particularly because I just came off fresh from my first tournament, running a tournament experience. And so I learned a lot, and I think there's a lot of good tips that we can discuss today that'll really help players and also help tournament directors understand what to look for when they're putting these things together.
Absolutely. I know that we've had several conversations since you went behind the scenes at Village Pickle, and just to kind of frame this up a little bit. So she ran a tournament, and it had quite a few numbers in it, and to the point that you went into pickleballbrackets.com using their tool and platform. We're going to dive into this more later, but just to set the stage. And so you got behind the scenes as that tournament director setting this thing up. So we really thought, hey, let's talk about both sides of tournaments. As a player, what do we do? What's our routine or our preparation as we go into a tournament? And on the flip side, what's that tournament director experience, and how are they influencing it? And then through that learning, since it's so fresh in your mind, we brought the topic up a little sooner in our schedule so that you can share with us, kind of what that looks like from that side, but also what can we do as players to help make that experience a good experience.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I know wait times is something that we all gripe about.
Yes.
So I know I've been curious to pick your brain about, okay, as a tournament director in that software, are there tools, are there ways to help influence that? And as a player, what can I do? So I'm super, super excited to really dive into this. So if we start kind of from the player side and think of player preparation, talk to us a little bit about what you do from a player prep perspective.
Yeah, I think, that preparation piece has many layers. And so when I think about what it looks like for different people, I think it varies based on the type of tournament you're going to. Is it a U.S. Open, or is it maybe your local tournament where, you're not traveling as far and different weather patterns and all that stuff. And then your goals as a player, what are your goals for entering that tournament? As we know, tournaments aren't cheap. It's expensive to register, and each event has an additional cost as well, typically. So to get the most out of the bang for your buck, so to speak, I think you really have to think about why you're picking what you're picking, which tournaments tend to have a better quality player experience if you're looking for that. So those are kind of the things that go into what you're looking for. What do you think in terms of that preparation piece?
Well, I hadn't really, I've thought about the topic we're doing today, of course, and have some things I want to share that can stimulate you guys' thoughts or give you some even tips that you can do. But what I hadn't thought that you mentioned is it is a lot of money to go participate. I mean, it's $1,200 to $1,500 if you're air and hotel, the whole bit, right? So why wouldn't you put a lot of prep as a player into that experience? And like you said, pick and choose what kind of experience you want to have. Quality, quantity, is it revenue driven, player experience driven, that kind of thing. So I really hadn't thought about from the money perspective. And at the senior pro level, it's even more expensive.
Yeah.
So it really gets crazy. So when I think about player prep, when I first was doing tournaments, if I look back, I really spent so much time on drilling and tactical things and strategy and playing. And as I hope, and I'm definitely continuing, and NPL is reminding me of this, to mature as a player and as a person on the court, I really found that the mental piece is not as important. It's actually more important.
Yeah.
And so I'm finding out, and I just learned this weekend, so I'm glad the timing of this recording is so good. So it was said this past weekend at the NPL event that when I do not want to hear anyone, when they miss a shot into the net, say, oh, I need to get lower. Oh, I need to use more legs. This individual said, that is not what happened. You guys know how to hit the shot. You know what to do. You've done it 1,000 times. It's mental.
Yeah.
There's something mentally distracting you to get you in, that's getting in your way, that is creating that tactical error that made the ball go into the net. And I'm just like, wow, that's profound.
Yeah.
So now, more and more so, and much more intentionally, I really work on the mindset. Specific thing I can talk about that I'll give a tip about, visualization, right?
Absolutely.
So you can be lying down, you can be sitting up, you can just be, on the couch, whatever, in a comfortable position, but closing your eyes and visualizing yourself moving on the court, making contact with the ball, where you're wanting that ball to go, the pace of the ball perhaps, being aware of your opponent and maybe where you want to navigate or point that ball to or what have you, and just watching yourself from that third eye construct those points and play out those points, and eventually a game and eventually a match. I'm not to a match yet. I'm not sure if I've really visualized the entire game yet, but visualizing that and seeing yourself in that successful way is such a big deal. And I feel like my whole world is opening up to this whole with this whole tool of visualization, and it's making a huge difference. And like I said, I'm in my infancy with the concept.
Yeah.
So I would say you know how to do the things, the pieces of the game, the tactical, the shots. Work on mindset. That's where I would go. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we're talking about the, non-training piece, the non-physical piece of it, it is really thinking about, the visualization piece I absolutely agree with. I also think about what am I doing in the days leading up, particularly the day before, how I'm preparing my body and my mind. So some of that is pre-hydration. I think people forget and they hydrate maybe that morning, but that process should start well before that, particularly the day before. Get your hydration right. And I think you even mentioned to me the other day that also happens after the event.
Right.
That it should be happening before and after to make sure you're good. And then for me, I have a little routine prepping my bag for the day. So one of the things with not knowing your timing and how long you might be there, depending on your brackets, is what are you eating? And so, you can eat breakfast, but you might be there a long time. And for me, I can't eat big meals. I need something quick that's got, sugars and things like that. So I'm putting things like the little kid applesauce squirts that you go in your mouth, or protein bars, or even we talked about Uncrustables,
Right.
kid foods, but they're simple and they've got sugars and some protein, and that's what I put in my bag.
You cannot beat a Crustable or
No.
Uncrustable, whichever way
Absolutely.
you can't. Those are the best.
They're in my freezer. I just pop them in my bag, good to go. So, and then beyond that, prepping my bag is I always put fresh grips on my paddles. And then kind of just beyond that, the bag's ready to go. I've got all my snacks, all that stuff. And then once you get on site, you have to check in 30 minutes early, and that's when you can do a little bit more visualization, some stretching, get a few touches on the ball if you can. We like to, sneak on the courts. If the court,
Never.
It's like scouting. You're like, oh, that one just ended. Let's run over and get a few seconds. But it does make a difference for me.
Absolutely.
Before we're starting out, because obviously you get some time to warm up when you go on court, but that impacts the flow of that match, and keeping in mind timing. And if you're trying to help the process, don't take 15 minutes to warm up before you play. So that's kind of what I do. And lastly, I love music. And so, I think about movies and theme songs, and I have them when I travel. I pick a song, and then later on I can go back and be in that experience again. And so I kind of do that with tournaments too. I pick a song that's where I am, maybe right there mentally, and that's the song I'll put kind of on repeat as I'm going through right before I play, and it just puts me in that like pumped up, positive mental state before I head out on the court.
I love it. I love that one. And you had shared that with me prior to us starting this recording. And I said it then, so I just will say it real quickly again now to everybody. That was a tip that we're here to share some tips about player prep and what you can do to get yourself ready. I hadn't thought about that one. So I have a playlist. A lot of us do. We have a podcast or a podcast. We have a pickleball playlist. We have a podcast too, by the way. A pickleball playlist that we listen to kind of get into it, and that's pretty common. But the cool thing about what you're sharing is you're like, if I have a goal or a focus, for a particular tournament, I try to find that you said you try to find that song that kind of reflects or reminds you of it, and then you're really focusing on that song. And so I just think I told you, so I'm gonna try that instead of this playlist to get me just generally fired up. Maybe I can, like mindset, right? Get more focused in on something. So anyway, I think that's pretty cool. I hope the listeners like that.
Yeah, let me know how it goes.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out
I'll
what
give
my
you
first
some
song.
suggestions too.
I hear Rocky in the back of my mind at the moment. I see the Philadelphia Steps right now, so, which hurt my knees thinking about. But at any rate, so no, I think that's a really cool one. So I just want to kind of re-emphasize it because that's pretty cool. Hey everyone, Pickle Gals here. We want to give a quick shout out to PPR, the Professional Pickleball Registry. They are partnered with USA Pickleball for doing coaching certifications. This is a great, great program. They're continuing to revamp it literally as we speak. We just had them come to one of our local clubs last weekend and certify 12 brand new coaches. They have an incredible benefits program. You get insurance, liability insurance that comes with your certification and membership. Tons of discount programs with pickleball partners. It's a phenomenal program. Highly, highly recommend. So if you have any desire to become a certified coach, check them out. PPR, Professional Pickleball Registry. Again, you can come to their site, another location in the country, or bring them to your site and have them do it right then and there for you and your people. PPR, check them out. Yeah, so that's, so we talked about the mental side, and you talk a little bit there about your routine with your bag and your grips. I hadn't thought about the grips thing either. That's pretty cool. The grips and things like that. So one of the things, if I think about routine and planning along those lines, I have this really cool opportunity right now. And again, it's new. We've only done 2 weekends of the MPL so far. But what's neat about it is we generally have 4 or 5 weeks between events. So it's given me this really crystal clear cut period of time that I can look at between events to get ready for the next one. But it's really not just get ready for the next one. It's looking back at what I just did and went through, what I just learned, what notes I maybe need to take, what feedback I got to be able to know what to work on before the next event, and then also what I'm going to do during the break or during those weeks, getting ready for that next one.
Yeah.
So I'm in this really cool, exciting time for my playing experience because, again, I've got this 4 or 5 week calendar that's the same for 6-7 months. So I'm experimenting with week 1. I'm being really relaxed on myself and kind to myself. And I'm saying, you know what? Just take a break. Just relax.
That's important.
Maybe I just coach some. Maybe I just do some footwork agility stuff, but I'm not coming back and like putting all this pressure on myself and rushing to the court.
Yeah.
I got to fix this or fix that. I'm taking care of myself. So week 1, chill out, relax.
Yeah.
Week 2, I'm going to do some hardcore drilling, high-level competitive drilling, probably 5 days a week, about 2 hours a day. That's my week 2.
Yeah.
And then week 3, competitive play as much as I can do that makes sense and taking care of my body and still getting some rest. And then that final week leading into the next event, I really intentionally jump in with these high-level guys that are very generous and kind to let me do that. But I jump in with all the high-level guys. I'm the only gal, and that's just a different experience, another kind of level, another kind of style. And that's what I do that last week. And then at least the Wednesday before I travel on that Thursday to go out of town, that Wednesday is always a day off of rest. If I feel like I need to take Tuesday, Wednesday, okay. Listen to my body, right? Yeah. Wednesday I definitely take off, and then Thursday I travel. We practice Thursday, Friday. We compete Saturday, Sunday, fly back Monday. So it's cool because I'm able to plan this work now. And then work that plan.
Yeah.
And I'm experimenting with. I have no idea if this is the right thing to do. Some people may be out there going, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of."
You can always tweak it.
But I'm like, rest, drill, play, go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that works for everybody. I'm still learning. You have ideas, shoot them my way. Happy to integrate them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. Plan my work my plan, and I'll experiment and see how it goes. So in terms of plan routine, what do you do?
I agree. I think recovery is a big piece of that, just mentally and physically after a tournament. So same as you, I'm not putting more than one a month on my schedule. Sometimes I'll go out even 2 to 3 if I'm feeling like I need a bigger break. But those weeks leading up are very similar in how I'm going about it, from having a specific skill that I'm trying to build and drilling a lot on that and having different types of drill partners. And then as we get closer, the 2 weeks, 1 week mark, I'm finding more intentional organized games where, again, I'm getting a variety of folks that I'm playing with. I think when you're at a tournament, again, if you're local, you might know the people and know the strategy. If you're going to the U.S. Open, didn't know anyone, didn't know the strategy. So you have to mix up who you're playing with to get different looks and different strategic responses with that. And then another tip that we had discussed as well is at a tournament, you might have a format change. So don't expect it to be 2 out of 3 every time. Sometimes you're in pool play and it's a game to 11, it's a game to 15. So also experiment with playing and forcing yourself into different formats so that you can strategize, when do I want to serve versus receive, or, how am I looking at that game? If it's to 15, that's a lot different in terms of your goal. For me, I think about it as like almost 2 games, or game to 8, game to 7. So looking at that side switch is like my tipping point for that match, and not looking at the whole thing in front of me. So things like that are important in terms of the technical and tactical aspects leading up.
Yeah, I think that's, again, a really good point. I know sometimes we've all been in a tournament and maybe weather's coming in or something and there's a format change, whatever drives that reason. And you just hear the buzz in the air. Everybody's, unfortunately, sometimes it's more negative than positive. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do rally scoring. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
I don't want to do rally scoring. I want 2 out of 3, and granted, it costs a lot. We've talked about it. It costs a lot of money to go to the tournament. I want to play as much as I can also.
Right.
But I also still want to play.
Yes.
So if you come to me and you say I need to go do rally scoring, I don't, if to your point, if I prepped that before I came, then hopefully it's going to be a little easier for me to push through and go, okay, I wish it didn't happen. I can't control the weather. Control what I can. Remember the book? Control what I can control.
Exactly.
Let go of the other stuff. So if I have to do that, at least to your point, if I practiced it, then, I can just jump right in, and there you go. There again, my mindset can be healthy.
Dealing with adversity. It's going to happen. So
is what it is. So cool. Awesome. I hope we have given some good tips for some folks, or just stimulated you enough to think about, hey, I haven't really had a plan. I haven't worked a plan, a plan to work. So if we've helped you out with that, I think that's great. I think there's some really good information in here. So we're going to flip the coin. We're going to come at this from the other side of it.
Yeah.
And again, Rachel just coming off of her first tournament director experience and using pickleballbrackets.com.
Yeah.
So I really love to spend the last part of this episode talking about what that experience was like and what it entails, to what degree as a tournament director can you influence my player experience? And then I think we'll kind of maybe dovetail into, then as a player, what can I do to help contribute so that we both are happy with our experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to us about how this went. What did you learn, and what's it all about?
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot, and then I'll let you jump in with the player side of how that impacts the flow of the day. But as the tournament director, or even before that, the person that's creating the idea for the tournament, if this one was a fundraising tournament, there are others. So whoever's kind of driving that process has the ultimate vision of, am I trying to increase my revenue exponentially? Meaning you might give up some of that quality of the player experience, or do you really care about the quality of the player experience? And we've played enough tournaments to know you generally know which ones are one or the other, and so we have the power to select that experience based upon that. But sometimes bigger tournaments, you want to be there, so you want to be part of that action. So
right.
I think the biggest thing for me leading up was pickleball brackets has a lot of options. And so for me, phoning a friend was critical. Shout out to Tyann and Taylor for just really helping me understand the system, but also a lot of it for the tournament director is dictated upon how you're doing your estimated like bracket sizes, what's your capacity based on your courts, and then ultimately when you're selecting those formats of play, you're putting in estimated times of how long each of those types of things take. And all that then filters into the system itself. And so we as tournament directors can go in, and once all that information is in and registration is closed, I can go in and run a simulator to get what my day is going to look like based on those estimates. And so some of it is just an educated guess, but as you get more experience, you understand that. And then in the moment, I can look at how my day is laid out, but things happen. If players are late and we start late, or they took a long time to work, whatever that is, I have to be willing to adjust that throughout the day to make the quality of the experience go the way that I think that it's going to go based on my schedule for the day. And so those are really the most important things. And with the format change, it's not intentional. I'm not like trying to mess with people if I have to change the format, right? I don't want to get in your head, but it is about the quality of the experience and making sure that the flow of the day, we might have to catch up a little bit, or, if we have extra time, we might extend it and give you that extra time. But it's all going back to that same theme of the quality of the player experience.
So so what I'm hearing is there is a simulator out there that these tournament directors and yourself this last time, you can populate data in there, and it can give you a sense of, how it's going to run. So my takeaway, if I heard that right, is tournament directors and the organizer and their intention and goal up front combined influence my player experience.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's important, because I knew nothing about this simulator until you brought it up.
I didn't either.
And so I think it's cool that you're adding more experience too, right? And getting kind of that back, bringing to us actually the behind the scenes look at what that looks like.
And just from being in it, I have an utmost respect for tournament directors now. The level of intense detail that you have to focus on for up to however long it could be, 3 days, 10 hours, 12 hours a day is really challenging. I mean, I think I got up to go to the restroom like one time. I forgot to eat. I was like, okay, I got to prepare for this better next time with, what drinks and snacks I need, because
to get through it,
I had to focus.
Now, just one clarification. So, because I'm just thinking about all my different experiences, the good, bad, and the ugly, and the exciting. It's optional though, right? The simulator, you don't have to do it.
No, you don't have to do it. It will also give you a daily schedule based on the estimates that you put in as well. But the simulator is nice because you can go in and adjust some things with the individual brackets. Like maybe I combined one, and then I can kind of see how the day plays out before I just go straight to that daily planner.
Okay, so hopefully we'll have more and more tournament directors, and maybe they already do, use that simulator, because it still sounds like that has a part in making my experience a good experience. So
for sure. And probably the more seasoned you are, you maybe need it less.
Sure.
You know what to expect, but it certainly helped me in preparation.
Well, it's good to know as a player, because if I know that the tournament director has a part and that their goal is my player experience, everybody's player experience is important, then, that helps me want to work with them too, right? And do my part. So that kind of dovetails into, what can I do as a player to ensure my experience is good and take advantage of all the work you've done to make sure that it's run well and smooth for you also. So some of the things I know we talked about and that we've seen in various tournaments, getting there early. Yep. If sometimes we just think of ourselves and we think, oh, I'm running late, I'm 15 minutes late. But what if, it's the U.S. Open. We had almost 5,000 players this year. If 30 of those people are all late, you have to multiply it. You can't just think about your one, shift outside the lines. the one at the U.S. Open that comes to mind very quickly, and it's not just the U.S. Open; it's other places. It's just the most recent one I was I was at where I witnessed it. Is when it's a match that we don't have a referee that's turning in the scorecard, right? So as a player, I have to turn in the scorecard.
Yep.
But I just had a 3-set match. I'm exhausted. I'm hot. I'm hungry. I'm dehydrated. So I take the long way back to the scorer's table. And I've seen it. People I love and respect, have done it. And to be honest, until you shared this experience from the tournament director side, I never thought much of it. I knew it was like, that's maybe a little shady, but big deal. No, but again, if 50 people are waiting 10, 15 minutes to turn in their scorecard, that could be hours of delay or wait time, right?
Yep.
So, I just think as players, it really does make a difference. One that comes, maybe one more I'll share that's really obvious is what you said about warm-up. Granted, some tournaments, they don't let you warm up beforehand or between matches, and some do. But if they're allocating a 2-minute warm-up and you're out there for 5-7 minutes, I promise you there's probably at least 100 or a couple hundred people out of 5,000 doing that.
Yeah.
So do the math.
It adds up.
So I think I'm excited to hear about the simulator. I really hope more and more are doing it, or they've learned enough from it to pick the right format. Certainly hope it's a player experience-driven event. But as players, let's not forget our responsibility and our influence on how that tournament's going to be run. If we're going to complain about a wait time, what do we do to avoid it?
Yeah, I had same experience at the U.S. Open with the turning in. We always turned ours in quickly and got back on quickly, but we did have an experience with someone not doing it for an hour, and so and they don't know that because they're running the tournament. There's hundreds of people playing, and so I just went to the court, did a little scouting around, went to the desk. They had to call them, and then we got it. But it did take an hour in between that, which the day was rolling otherwise. So it throws off not only the schedule, but then your mindset of like an hour goes by before you're playing again. So, yep.
So I think the takeaway here is, I threw out the phrase, plan the work and work the plan. I think what I'm hearing is, whether you're a tournament director or organizer, you still have a plan. So plan that work that plan. But as a player participating in a tournament, whether it's your prep or whether it's your participation to help make the tournament successful and a good experience for everybody, plan your work, work your plan, take some of these ideas of getting there early, respect the warm-up times, get the scorecards turned in. If we all do that together, and then as well as having the technology continue to improve to where we can kind of really nail down those formats to where there's less and less wait time and delay that we can control, then I think it's just going to be a win-win for everybody. So
I think this is a great topic. How we really do all impact this ecosystem, and we as players too. You have the power to choose your experience within that. So
choose it, and you have the power to influence it. So with that, thank you again for joining us. We are the Pickle Gals. Court is adjourned.